Hi, Questers. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I just thought I'd use that as the opening sequence, but yeah, all good. So we're going to get into LoKi. The season finale looks interesting. Looks like there's going to be a bit of jumping around here and there, time jumping in particular. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. So let's get into this, shall we? But before we do, please don't forget to hit that like, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and select all the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming content. Thank you very much. And okay, so right off the bat, all this opening sequence, the Marvel's logo, and then you get the comic book strips type deal going through all the different MCU heroes and that. Opening sequence where you got the Marvel's logo with the Marvel Studios logo, and you get the all the heroes and that through the images. It seems to be extended and slowed down, so it seems to be different. I'm wondering if they changed or removed the LoKi title sequence. That would be interesting to find out. Yeah, there's definitely something different here. Definitely something a lot different. I actually prefer this opening. I'm not sure if they show the flash. If they don't show the flashy LoKi title page, I will be absolutely fine with that because it was really annoying. And if you've watched any of my other videos, then you know that I don't like that. It's really annoying. So, okay, because now we get to see down that the gangway to going back down it towards the door. So I presume LoKi's definitely gone back to when Timely was spaghettified. So let's see. Let's have a look and see what happened. Yeah, so definitely gone back to before Timely gets spaghettified, which makes sense. Because they're still trying to expand the loom, right, at this point. So we will have another look. Okay, so yeah, I have a funny feeling that LoKi's going to be going backwards and forwards quite a bit in this, especially at this point. I wonder if he will use it intelligently and go back and learn how to do things, because I think that would be a very good idea if he does that. Whether he does or not, I don't know. We'll see. But you know, it's just basically been was it episode 4? Was it episode 4 where Timely was first spaghettified, and episode 5 they were not in the TVA, and episode 6 is now. So okay, we shall see what happens. Okay, so we're definitely going to do it the intelligent way. It looks like he's going to learn from Obi to figure out, how to do it himself. So he's going to become some super intelligent time being, whatever. Anyway, so this is going to be interesting because we know that although LoKi does have some intelligence, his selfishness and inconsideracy for anyone else other than himself always used to get in the way, and that's why he kept losing, because he was always after that one thing for himself, whereas this time he's trying to save everything, right? Trying to save the TVA. Although at this point you'd wonder, why save the TVA other than for the fact that in the last episode it showed that when the time loom is destroyed, it will destroy all timelines or something along those lines, which doesn't make sense because the timelines would have existed long before the loom was created, right? So it doesn't really make much sense in that way, but we shall see. So it's taken him centuries to learn to do everything he needs to know. Okay, that makes sense, but however, the interesting thing is, it doesn't tell you how many centuries, it just says centuries. Now, centuries, that could be anywhere between 2 and over and infinite, right? So it doesn't actually tell you. Say it should. They should say like if it took 2 centuries, 4 centuries, whatever. They should really put that in there. I mean, I reckon it would have been funny if it says 1,000 centuries. No, if it says 1,000 centuries, it would be a millennia. So maybe if it said 999 centuries later, that would have been funny. That could have been very funny. So it would have been almost 1,000 years since for him to learn everything he needed to know. But okay, that's fine, I guess. And I hope the audio is okay. Let me just check the settings. I do have it for automatically adjusting the the mouse microphone. So we'll see how that goes. So let's carry on. I just thought of a potential miscalculation, possibly. The thing about timelines is there are infinite timelines, so I wonder if that's going to play into this. So I'm curious to find out what's going to happen because I don't think that increasing the diameter of the loom is actually going to be enough. Because I suppose it's some sort of quantum physics would dictate that there are infinite timelines, and timelines are expanding, constantly expanding and branching off. So there's going to be, I'd say there's going to be like infinite or unlimited expansion for the timelines. So I'm actually quite curious to know how they approach it, if that makes sense, because it doesn't seem that expanding the loom will be enough. Because to me, it just seems odd. Because I'm pretty sure that in the Marvel's multiverse storyline, they've actually said that there's infinite timelines, infinite universes, right? So is that going to play into this? Okay, so it seems to have worked. They seem to have fixed it. Interesting. We see the loom expanding as we should. So is that it? Is that over? Is that the time loom fixed? Does that mean it's not going to be the big danger? Interesting. Ah, that makes sense. Especially considering the fact that we're like how far we're not even we're just about 15 minutes into it. There's still quite a bit left. We're like a third of the way through the episode by the looks of it, and it's not working. Why is it not working? Just okay, so it's not working. So really? The timelines are expanding at an infinite rate. I hate to say it, but I told you so. I told you. Right. Okay. I have to say they haven't done Sylvie any justice in this season. She looks absolutely terrible. In season one, she looked a lot better, right? So in season two, she looks absolutely terrible. Seriously. Okay, so by the looks of it, what they've done is they've had to go back to where Sylvia killed He Who Remains. So it would make sense because this would be about the time. This would be about when the issues with the timeline would have started. I guess that makes sense. So okay, fine. So what's he got to do? Has he got to try and stop her from killing he that remains? We shall see, shan't we? So yeah, it looks like is is he who remains or Victor able to tell that Loki's time slipping? I wonder. Um, hmm. Interesting. Uh, he's been trying to stop Sylvie from killing him, basically. So let's see how this goes. He knows exactly what's happening with Loki because Loki turns to him and says, uh, why don't you ever do anything to stop her any time, any of these times?" And then he just picks up that thing and pauses time. And he asks Loki, "How many times have you been at this?" So he must know exactly what's going on with Loki. Um, okay, fine. So let's see what he has to say. So not only does he pause time and stop Sylvie in her tracks, but let Loki carry on moving around, but he's actually able to make her disappear and send her somewhere else, which is frustrating to say the least. Because every time that she killed him, he would say, "See you soon." So, hmm. So, joking aside about Loki not learning how to pause time, he just did it. What made you think this was the first time we've had this conversation? Hmm. They're playing on the time stuff a lot in this episode because we haven't heard him say that yet, right? So now Loki's saying about changing the equation and destroying the loom. And then Victor's going on about how it will the loom prevents a war that will destroy everything, every timeline, even the sacred timeline. Um, but I'd say one timeline needs to be destroyed. The secret timeline needs to be snipped. Because I mean, from what I can tell, it's a secret timeline or sacred timeline that seems to be causing the trouble. So let's destroy that, shall we? Let's just prune the sacred timeline instead of everything else. Destroy the loom, prune the sacred timeline. I feel like he just had a heartfelt conversation with Mobius. Oh, Diddums. What a shame. You feel better now? You shake his hand and all of a sudden he turns to spaghetti. Spaghetti-o. So this is going to be interesting to see. I don't. At this point, I don't know what he's supposed to do. Is he going to destroy the loom or what? What's he going to do? I mean, it hasn't given you a hint of what he's going to do. So, he's changing into his god armor. Interesting. I haven't seen that in a while. So he destroys the loom. Okay, cool. Nice effect though, but it shows where all their money's going. All their money's going is in the unnecessarily expensive visual effects that aren't as good as they could be. So is he replacing the loom with himself, becoming like a god of time? I suppose that makes sense in a way. I don't understand why they would even bother doing this crap. Seriously? Well, at least Loki's finally got the throne he always wanted. Not the same one he wanted, but he got a throne after all. See, all this is just pointless, really, isn't it? It's just pointless visual effects that they didn't really need. You could have just had a glowing light or something. They didn't have to have all these, all these. I don't know, but all these. I don't even know what to call it. Tendrils of time or something along those lines. It's just really, really weird. I don't see why they even bother with it, to be honest. There is actually a Viking reference there. Look, there's an Asgardian reference there. I forget the name of it, but they had the Vikings believe in the tree of life. And what's this? Is this going to be? Is it the tree of life or is it the tree of time? It's interesting that they're using it because if you remember in Thor, he described the tree as as the the realms, and it's just the idea that that's going to be what the Vikings used to believe as the tree of life. It is interesting that they've done that, and you can definitely tell that he's become the loom in the middle. So he's basically he's the trunk, he's the trunk point, so to speak, for lack of a better word. But again, it looks good. It does. It looks good, but they don't need it. It's too much visual effects for what it is. It's a series. It's not a movie. This is movie scale visual effects for a TV show. Essentially, you don't need it. You do not. So we're not going to get season 3 because that wouldn't be a problem to me. To be honest, this would be a fitting end. I've heard that there is supposed to be a post-credit scene, so I'm going to go to that shortly and take a look, see if it's true. Okay, so I couldn't tell if there was a post-credit scene because when I was trying to get to the end of the post-credits, it kept fucking crashing. The Disney player was crashing. It wouldn't let me go. It's like 4 minutes of the credits. So I couldn't even find out if there was a post-credit scene because the player kept crashing. The Disney player crashed every single time. I tried multiple times to get it to show me the credits, and it kept on crashing every single time I tried. So I don't even know if there was this rumored post-credit scene because I can't get to the end, to the part of the credits where it might be. There's a 4 minutes end credits and it crashes every time and it's fucking annoying. What the hell, Disney? I mean, Jesus Christ. There's all this stuff going out that there's a post-credit scene at the end of the final episode and you can't and they can't see it. I mean, seriously. Well, anyway, I'm glad it's over finally, but it's just I'm frustrated now because I was told that there's an end credit scene by multiple places, and that there was an end credit scene that was supposed to link into other things later on, and there's nothing, not a thing, because I can't watch it because the players. So it played the entire episode without a hiccup. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching the credits, and that's when it fucks up. I don't get it. Why? Why? It's as bad as YouTube sometimes. There's nothing wrong with my computer. There's nothing wrong with my internet connection. But sometimes it takes over a minute to load the fucking homepage. I'm just saying, and it's ridiculous. It says, "Oh, you are," and then you do a search, and you say, "Right, to solve the issue, clear your cache." So you clear your cache, and it still does it. My internet is actually really good for where I am. It's the best speed I can get in the area I am. I get up to 36 megabits a second for download. I get 10.60 megabits download speed, upload speed. So it's the best in this area. There are better, obviously, but they're not actually available in this area. So And from what I understand, is my connection is actually better than a lot of connections in other places. So it's the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure in this area to support higher bandwidth. So it's not a huge issue. It doesn't cause any problems. It's just that for some reason YouTube messes up occasionally, and now Disney messes up occasionally, but no other streaming service messes up. You get the occasional one where, say, I think it's the one that I've had where the players crashed the most was probably Amazon player. To be honest, it's probably the Amazon Prime player that's actually crashed the most since I've been using streaming services. But I mean, like I said, I am perfectly fine with that ending because I don't want any more LoKi. If LoKi was to come back, I would rather it be in a movie. But the thing is, they just killed. I mean, this killed the character off in future appearances, right? Because although you could supposedly have him in a different timeline, but you would think that all the timelines would actually bring him to that point anyway, would they not? So I don't know how it's going to work out. But if they bring LoKi back, that's fine. But bring him back in an Avengers movie, will you? Instead of in the show, because it's terrible. The high budget for the visual effects that aren't, cinematically they'd probably be amazing, but for a show, they're just too expensive, and it doesn't work very well. I mean, shows are not supposed to have these high budgets. Even the movies, the budgets are too big nowadays, and I've said it before that with the budget too high, then you get the companies that are making the visual effects. They're going to be putting pressure on the people actually doing the work, because the executives are going to be going downstairs. They're going to be complaining to the people actually doing the work, and they're going to be pressured to work fast because it's quantity over quality these days, right? For Disney specifically, with the MCU and Star Wars specifically. Amazon are not that different, but they don't really spend that much amount. I mean, the worst thing that I've seen Amazon do is spend billions of pounds or billions of dollars on Rings of Power, which was terrible. But to be honest, I don't. A lot of people saying Star Wars is dead, Marvel was dying. I don't think so. I think that if they get their acts together and start lowering budgets, I mean, I would say Kathleen Kennedy is a major problem, and a lot of the people that she's put in positions are problems. But I would say that you can bring them both back. The issues that you have with Star Wars and even the MCU is you got poor quality of writing. So that's poor writing, poor directing, poor producing, poor budget. It's a high budget. High budgets are a deficit, right? So I mean, you can have a budget all the way up here, but the movie's going to be it's touching the floor below the screen. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, and it's shown perfectly in these shows. I mean, Secret Invasion, high budget, crap writing. Even the directing and the producing was terrible. They just need to get that act together. I mean, they can't blame the actors' strikes, the SAG-AFTRA or the writers' strikes, because that's got nothing to do with it. I mean, during those, they could still have made animated versions of stuff. They could have made animated movies, animated shows. So, I mean, look at Netflix. How many animated shows showed up on Netflix since the first since the WGA strike started? There's loads of them. So, what I don't get is why they think that they need to overwhelm the budget for the visual effects that do not need to. The worst thing Kathleen Kennedy did when she took over, it wasn't making bad Star Wars. It was as soon as she took over, she got rid of LucasArts, the people responsible for making the visual effects for the Star Wars franchise leading up to Disney's purchase. So that is a major issue. And I was hoping to come in to bring that up in a live talking about Ahsoka season 2 and the possibilities of season 2 of Ahsoka, and Mando's season 5, season 4 or 5. But anyway, that's something that will probably come up later on. So if you like my content, guys, hit that thumbs up, give us that like, hit the subscribe button, and select all of the notification bells so you don't miss any upcoming content. And as always, guys, stay safe, take care, comment down below any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions, and yeah. May the Schwartz be with you always.